is for you. No fluff, no hype, just real conversations and real growth. Welcome to Brotherhood Rising. Guys, I am pumped about this podcast and this adventure that we are going on. We've been building the Brotherhood group since August, more August of 2024. And man, it's been amazing. We got a solid group of guys inside of the program, and it's been so cool to see the Lord kind of really work through this program in these guys' lives. And when we were thinking about a podcast, we really just wanted to create an opportunity to connect with you guys just on a little bit deeper level, get to chat with you guys more. And I'm going to go over what this podcast is going to entail, what you can expect, and just kind of give you a rundown of all of that. So it's going to be a little bit of two concepts. The first concept is you're going to hear me talking about my experience, my past, my history, and what ultimately led to this brotherhood group. Not only that, but what ultimately led to my content shift and my perspective shift and my mission when it comes to social media and coaching. Because if you don't know me, then you're going to get to know a lot of my past. But if you do know me, you know a lot of really the past over 10, 11 years of my life have been dedicated to coaching in the health and fitness space, personal training, working with athletes, managing gyms. I was a part owner of a gym for the last 4 years and exited that in April of actually 2024. So it's been a wild ride, but and I'm going to get into again the details of how I actually got here and what we're doing with the Brotherhood group and my focus and shift. But just know that while there has been a shift, it has been for the better. God is good and He is so faithful. And I am just thankful that I'm at this point in my life where I get to express something about my life that is very important to me, and that is my faith. And that's the focus for this podcast, is not only giving you guys insights to my life struggles and challenges that I've been through, but how I've overcome them, and ultimately how I can help you overcome them, whether it's through this podcast or it's through my content or it's on social media or it's through my coaching program, the Brotherhood Group. I'm excited to help you. Something we say inside the Brotherhood Group is break free from the chains that hold you down, that bind you, staying as a man you don't want to be, living a lifestyle you don't really want to live, and I'm excited for that opportunity to kind of serve you in that way. So you're going to get a lot of me just kind of talking just to you, but you're also going to get some interview style podcasts. I'm big on collaboration. I'm big on talking to other men because that's where we can really learn. That's where we can really grow. And what I've learned, if I've learned anything through coaching the Brotherhood Group, I've learned this: we are so much more alike than we are different when it comes to men, challenges, struggles, and where we're at in our life. And so I know through interviewing men who are maybe doing really good in their career, really good when it comes to just personal success and growth and things like that, but also men who are pursuing the Lord with everything that they have and putting Him first in everything that they do. So those are the kind of men we're going to be interviewing: entrepreneurs, successful men, maybe guys you follow on social media. But I've been blessed and fortunate enough to make some really cool connections over the years, and it'll be really cool for me to be able to bring these guys on the podcast on Brotherhood Rising, and all of us kind of grow and rise together when it comes to who we are as men, as fathers, as husbands, as business owners, and ultimately as men of God, and helping you kind of live that out better, helping me live that out better. Like I said, I know collaboration is really, really important when it comes to growth and things like that, learning from other guys. So this episode, I really just wanted to start from the foundation. I'm going to be super efficient with time here. I'm not going to go into all the details, but I am going to give you guys some insight into me, who I am. This might be a little bit of a refresher for you if you've known me for some time. Maybe you learned some things that you didn't know. But if you don't know me, if you're just finding this podcast for the first time, you're just gonna learn about me, and I'm gonna just give it to you straight. And I feel like that's just a big shift in my life. My personality is just being real, raw, honest about who I am, where I've been, challenges that I've been through. And like I said, I'm not gonna go super deep today. I'm gonna build some consistency through this podcast and through these episodes, and I'll get deep as these podcasts goes on. But I'm gonna give you a kind of an overview, if you will, of myself and my background and things like that. So, um, man, where do I start? And it's going to be hard not to go into detail because I'm a detailed person when it comes to my story because I know details really matter. But um, where I want to start is honestly, let's just go back to college. I think that's a good place to start, right? College is, a lot of good times and good years for a lot of us, and um, I want to start there because the person I am now, I would say the college version of me would have looked up to, would have loved to have a conversation with, would have loved to just talk to more and spend more time with, and I know that the person I am now that God's helped me become, that version of me would have seen the college version of myself and would have had so much love and empathy and an understanding and I would have poured into that version of me in college. And um, so starting in college, so I went to two colleges, which if you know me, that's not abnormal. I went to three high schools. I went to two middle schools. I went to two or three elementary schools. So going to multiple colleges wasn't like out of the ordinary for me in my life. But I started at Central Methodist University, went there to play football and baseball, and then I transferred to the University of Memphis and played football there for 2 years. It was always my goal and dream to play Division One sports, and so I was able to fulfill that, and that was really cool to be a Division One football player. When I got to college, I kind of made up my mind that faith and my relationship with God, or at least not my relationship with God, but how I lived that out, I was going to put that on the back burner. I grew up going to church. It was a big part of my life. Wednesday nights for youth, Sunday mornings, Sunday nights, mission trips, all of it. I was heavily Awanas, Bible studies. I was heavily involved with church at a very young age. So I kind of got to this point in my life where I felt like I was just so focused on trying to be a good person and do right by the Lord and what the Bible said, but I also in the same breath, I felt like I wasn't making any progress in life. I felt like I wasn't successful. I felt like I wasn't achieving anything worthwhile, of course, to the world standards. And I would see my friends, they seemed like their life was way better than mine. And these friends I have, and I have some great friends that I grew up with, and this is not a knock against them at all. But these friends that I had whenever I was younger, it was just like they lived life how they want to, doing things. And these are so worldly things, and they're not. And I'm not saying they're bad things, but just things that I didn't do because I wanted to be a good Christian. But doing things like partying and cussing and just talking ways and living life and just seemingly however they wanted to. And it was also like they also had successful families. Their families had money because my family, we didn't have anything. We didn't have any money, much money growing up. I had a great childhood, but we definitely didn't have a lot. Um, and it was just one of those situations where I was like, you know what? Like all my friends, they get to do what they want. They live how they want to, and they have all these things in their life. And I'm over here worrying and stressing about making sure I don't cuss and making sure that I don't fall into any other type of temptation, even though I did a lot, and I'll talk about that too. Um, Seemingly in my mind, I was saying I was a better person than, which was crazy, but looking back now, anyways, than my friends, and it was just like, you know what, I'm gonna not worry about my faith as much. I'm not gonna let my faith or what the Bible says like stop me from living a certain way. I'm gonna be me. All right, I'm gonna enjoy life, and I'm gonna go into college, fresh mind, fresh thought process, and I'm just gonna have a good time. And I was actually coming out of a breakup of a long relationship through high school, which really kind of wrecked me. Wasn't fun, and so that on top of this, this way of living, I was just like, I'm gonna do me, and that meant going to parties, being at parties, drinking for the first time, um, hooking up with girls if I could, and just kind of living life freely. having fun doing so. Um, so I did that. Fast forward, going to Memphis, I get connected. I did that at Central Methodist. No, at no point in Central Methodist did I go to church really, or like was involved with any campus ministry or anything like that. So it was just really me and my friends and having fun, living it up. Um, Fast forward to the decision of me going to Memphis, decided to go and pursue, like I said, a D1 football career, and I was able to do that. When I went to Memphis, that's where I feel like God and the Holy Spirit was really um, challenging my decision to kind of live life freely and go off on my own. Went to Memphis, and then I within the football group of guys that I had, a lot of them went to this campus outreach ministry called 901. And my good friend Denny, who was the leader of that, and I'm pretty sure maybe still is, who was the leader of that ministry, that was a really pivotal moment in my faith walk, when it came to just how I lived my life. Not saying a lot of things changed, because it definitely didn't, but my convictions were definitely more there than they were when I was at Central Methodist. The way I thought, the way I looked at being a Christian and like being discipled. That was the first time I heard like discipleship and what that looked like. And um, Denny, who was the leader of the 901, he really poured into me, and he taught me a lot. I learned a lot from him and kind of gave me a different perspective of what it looked like to be a man of God. This dude, awesome guy, loving father, loving husband, serving the Lord, doing ministry for kids in college and things like that. And it was something that it really played a big role in my life at that time. I think more than I realized. And looking back, it was really God planting a seed using Denny, and using the guys at the campus outreach ministry. Planted seed of convictions, planted seeds of like living a certain way and being a Christian, what that looked like. Again, no radical changes or anything like that at the moment. I still definitely was very much living in the world. But like I said, things that didn't convict me were slowly starting to convict me and make me kind of feel a type of way and make me kind of really process what I was doing, how I was acting, and how I was living. Um, I was dating a girl when I was at Memphis, and then from that point, I were dating for maybe a year and a half or something. That relationship ended, and from there, I met, kind of got acquainted to who is now my ex-wife, Kelsey, and we met, started dating, got engaged, got married, all within a year. And then, I mean, maybe a couple months after we were married, we found out we were pregnant, had a miscarriage. And a couple months after that, when we kind of got the green light to try again, we got pregnant again with my oldest, who is 10 now, which is wild, Jace. And again, I'm just going to keep this more higher level, more overview. But in my marriage, I struggled a lot. I struggled with things like pornography, struggled with alcohol a little bit. Not early on in my marriage did I struggle with alcohol, but definitely later through the divorce process I did. Um, Struggled with lust and just in things that I kept quiet, things I kept hidden in the dark, and it was all about me. It's all about how much attention could I get on social media from not only like people I looked up to or like people in the fitness industry, but women especially. And it was a very selfish season of my life looking back now. Um, Needless to say, a lot of the decisions I made and way I was living can't live that way and be married. That's for sure. So we made the decision to get divorced. I'll never forget sitting my kids down on the couch. Jace was super young. So I have three kids. I have Jace, who's 10 now, Jet, who's 8, and Jalen, my little girl. She'll be 6 in June, so here in a few months. But I'll never forget setting the boys down on the couch. Jalen was a baby, but setting the boys down on the couch and telling them that me and their mom were getting divorced. And um, definitely one of the hardest conversations I've ever had in my life. But at that time, it felt like the what needed to happen, and with where we were at and decisions I've made, definitely was something that I needed. I felt like I needed to do. Um, so we got divorced. Not only was I going through the divorce, but COVID started in 2020. We were already like going through the divorce process, but then COVID hit, and through the middle of COVID, me and my best friend at the time, we decided to open a gym during COVID. So this is where really the drinking kind of piled on, going through the divorce process, owning a gym, trying to figure all that out, COVID, and I was definitely drinking the most that I had ever drank in my life, and then hiding it too, and trying to make it more social, and always looking for reasons and opportunities to go out, to get together, to drink, and to have fun with friends and things like that. And was not the person that I thought I was going to become. Even though I was fulfilling a dream in owning a gym, um, I was not living the life that I knew I should have been living. I was not being the man that I knew I should have been. Alcohol definitely ran um, a lot of my life, a lot of my decisions, and I would just justify drinking any way that I could. And it went from drinking on the weekends to drinking during the week, and using things like doing stuff outside in the yard or mowing the grass, using those as opportunities to drink, and just going over, hanging out with friends whenever I wanted to, and just drinking with them. And but it was definitely a reason to escape. That's what I used it for. I try to come across as this like guy who is really into whiskey and all the history of it and things like that, which I'm not saying I wasn't. It's definitely cool to learn, but that was like, um, that is what I was known for. And to give you to paint a picture, a lot of my friends and people at the gym threw me a 30th birthday party, a surprise birthday party, and for that birthday, I got close to 20 bottles of whiskey as gifts. Like that's how much I put out there that I was this like whiskey um connoisseur lover type of person, appreciated and things like that. About 20 bottles of whiskey. Um at the time I was stoked. I was like, man, this is awesome. And I would spend so many nights at the gym just having a glass, whether it was by myself or with my business partner, thinking about life, talking about life, and things like that. Not running to the Lord at all, not running to my Bible, but running to the bottle and running to alcohol. Um, Fast forward again, owned the gym. The gym was not doing great at all, really ever. Never made money from the gym. If I made any money over those 4, 5, 6 years, it was from just personal training or trying to get into online coaching. Never fully went into online coaching. I just dabbled in it. I knew I could help people, but I never like fully committed to it. So I didn't make a real income, a real good income from it. I made money here and there, but just enough to like get by. And that was my life for, like I said, 4, 5, 6 years of being a dad, of being a divorced dad, being someone who was an entrepreneur. Like, didn't make any money, like no money at all to do anything significant. No money saved up, in debt from the gym, in debt from student loans, and just wasn't again where I thought I would have been by like my early 30s. Fast forward to 2024. This is where got probably like 2022, 2023. I started to like feel a shift of like my lifestyle and what I wanted to do and not wanted to do. Um, and I really credit this, at least the beginning, to 75 Hard. I did 75 Hard multiple times throughout those years. Um, and the thing that really stuck the most through 75 Hard is the alcohol. Like that was something that after I would finish 75 Hard, I would always contemplate and think through like, man, do I even want to drink again? Do I want to get back into that? For those who don't know, 75 Hard, you go 75 days of taking a progress picture. Andy Frisella, who's a good friend of mine, he created the program. He's the CEO of First Form, but you go 75 days of no alcohol, working out twice a day. One has to be outdoors, reading 10 pages of a nonfiction book, drinking a gallon of water, following a nutrition plan, and taking a progress picture every single day. I've done and completed 75 Hard probably like 3 or 4 times. And every single time after I would be done, I would continue with the no drinking. Everything else kind of just went back to normal lifestyle anyways, but like the no drinking, I would always contemplate like, do I want to drink? Do I want to get back into that? So like that's the thing that really kickstarted, because I was sober for those 75 days. I would really process and think about, like, do I want to be drinking, or am I drinking because like everybody I'm with and I associate with, they're drinking. And even to this day, like, I don't have any problem with drinking. If you want to hang out with me and have a drink, you can have a drink. Like, I'm not at that point anymore. I don't have any problem with it, but for me, I know it's never led to anything good. It doesn't make me feel like I want to feel, and it doesn't help me become the person that I want to become. So by the grace of God, I have been sober, no alcohol, for almost 3 years now, like going on 3 years, which has been amazing. Um, and but that process of 75 hard really started this thought process of like, do I want to drink or do I not want to drink? Um, and I really just got to a point after, I, so I'm now, let me kind of backtrack. So, 2021, I meet Maggie, who is now my wife. Again, I'm just giving you guys a big overview. Yes, Maggie is now my wife. We met in 2021. We didn't start talking until like 2020, summer of 2022, I think. We started talking. We started like dating in like late summer, and then we got married actually in February of this year, 2025. But we did 75 hard a couple times, and one of the last times we did it, I was just like, yeah, I'm done drinking. Like, this was like probably, like I said, 2022, 2023. Yeah, something like that. I just kind of made up my mind that I was going to be done drinking. And when it comes to things like that, when I make up my mind about things, like, I'm pretty serious about it. So, um, I just realized it wasn't for me. The thought of alcohol, the smell of alcohol, the taste of alcohol just gave me bad thoughts and memories, and just I associated it with just a guy that I no longer wanted to be. Um, so I just kind of stopped doing that, and Maggie was a big support in that whole process and very encouraging. And now we both live this lifestyle and live this marriage where alcohol is not a part of anything that we do. Which, again, by the grace of God, I'm thankful that He has delivered both of us from that. And she'll be on episodes, and we'll talk to her, and you can hear her story too. But so, going to the decision to so Maggie and I started dating, and while we were dating, again, we stepped away from the lifestyle that we were living. We weren't drinking, we weren't staying out late, we weren't partying. We slowly started to ourself in this lifestyle was just becoming distant from the group of people that we used to hang out with. We stopped getting invited to places. Yeah, it was just completely different. Change of pace and things like that. As our relationship started to develop, so did our relationship with God and our faith. And again, that also separated us to the point to where there was more conflict that started to arise within me and my business partner at the time. Weren't talking. We probably went like 6 or 7 months of just not talking, not communicating, not working on business things efficiently and things like that. And some other things were thrown in there that really caused a wedge between us. And ultimately, um, we got to a point in April of 2024, or yeah, April of 2024. We kind of had a big blow up in March, middle of March, late March, after my birthday. Shout out March babies. And in April of 2024, on April 3rd, this is before the stuff with the gyms, my business. So let me go here real quick. April 3rd of 2024, I'm stressing out about the gym, stressing out about friend groups and my friends that I'm no longer really in a friendship with, and just where God has me and all these changes that are going on. And um, I was in my room, or I was in my kitchen right upstairs, and I started just praying. I just started praying, and like out of nowhere, I got emotional, and it was a significant amount of emotion, and tears just started rushing to me. And I started praying, and I'm not joking. I heard God say to me that I have been living my life for me this whole time, and I have not lived for Him at all. And it really kind of just hit me like a ton of bricks. And then I kind of thought to myself, what am I doing? Where am I going? Where does this way of living, where I'm not living for the Lord, where does it get me? And then I heard God's voice again, and again, I'm not joking. I heard it clear as day. Heard Him say, Steph, you need to surrender. because how you're living is not for me, it's for yourself. And so it was just one of the most realest experiences when it came to my faith that I've ever had. So right there, tears running down my face, I hear his voice so clearly. I drop to my knees, I throw my hands up, and I say, God, like, whatever you want me to do, wherever you want me to go, I will do it. I'm exhausted. I don't want to live this life anymore. I don't want to I don't want to not live for you. I know deep down I want to serve you and I want to live for you. I feel like deep down I've always had that desire, but I always let other people influence me and the decisions I made and how I lived. So I just threw my hands up and I was like, God, whatever you want to do, like, I'll do it. 2.5, maybe 3 weeks later, again, me and my business partner, we're not seeing eye to eye, we're not talking. I get a phone call as I think I'm headed to actually work. I get a phone call and he says, if our gym's going to reach its full potential, we can't both be here and I'm not leaving. So after everything that had gone on, I wasn't surprised, but I was kind of surprised that that conversation happened. So I said, we had a conversation, but essentially I said, okay, um, I'm not coming in today since this is a decision you're making for us. I will come get my stuff and clean out my office this weekend and I'll be done. And so that was it. And that was um, April 25th, I think 23rd or 25th of 2024 was when I got that call. I think it was on a Thursday. Um, and I never looked back. And it was hard and it was challenging. And there was a lot more in and outs to that of like the announcement to the gym and like all these things that didn't really get handled that well, but it is what it is. So I fast forward to, the spring and the summer, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Maggie and I started to coach a little bit together online and it went okay, but our coaching styles were different. So it's kind of challenging. And one day I just get this thought. It was definitely from the Lord and the Holy Spirit to start this men's personal development program, faith-based personal development program called the Brotherhood Group. And the essence of it is to help men who are lukewarm in their faith, who are leaders, entrepreneur, business guys, family guys, but who are lukewarm in their faith. Maybe they're success driven on the outside, and maybe they're doing great in their career and their business and things like that, maybe even in their fitness. But inside, when it comes to their faith, they're not who they know they want to be. They're not who the Lord has called them to be. They're living a lukewarm life. And the reason why that is the passion and the direction is because I heard um, Matthew 7:21 through 23, where it says, "For on that day many will cry out to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, prophesize in your name? Did we not cast out many demons in your name? And did we not perform many miracles in your name?" And he said to them plainly, "Away from me, for I never knew you." And on that day is referencing the day of judgment or the day of, I also think, I need to look into this more, but I think it's also referencing just whenever we come to the end of our life and we go meet Jesus, we have that conversation. And that hit me because I was like, man, if I would have, thank God my time didn't come, but if I truly believe April 3rd was the day that I got saved and I surrendered my life to the Lord. I think if my life would have been ended or my time would have came before that, I have a strong feeling that I would have been one of those people who would have been like, but God, I went to church. I knew you. I prayed. I read my Bible. I feel like he would have said away from me, for I never knew you. I didn't have a relationship with you. And that changed my perspective completely. And so that's my mission, is to help men through this personal development program who are lukewarm, who are not being the men they're called to be, who are not leading and loving their wives, who are bound by things like alcohol, pornography, lust, and all these things that a lot of men are really bound by. It's to help them have true freedom. It's to help them meet Jesus and to experience him on a level that they've never experienced him through the power of the Holy Spirit. And it's to give them accountability and direction so that they can start to live the life that they know they're called to live and not be lukewarm in their faith. So that is where we are. Now I run this program. I'm the founder, the owner, the CEO, whatever you want to say, of this program, the Brotherhood Group, and I love it. I love working with the men. I got about 25-ish men inside of the program. We're continuing to grow, and we're continuing to serve men at a high level and make sure that this is the best personal development program when it comes to like being a faith-based personal development program out there. We focus on fitness and nutrition. We focus on being active, focus on how we can be a better leader in our homes and in our business, and we also focus on, which is the main focus, the foundation of what we do, is cultivating a real true relationship with Jesus. So um it is something that I'm blessed to do, and like I said, something that I am passionate about doing, because I know I'm not the only guy who has this desire to serve the Lord more and to lead their family better and to have freedom and break chains from the things that bind them and hold them down. And so that's my mission inside of this program, is to help those men experience freedom in the Lord. Like that's really it. So um that's my story. That's how we got here. And so with this podcast, the Brotherhood Rising, I want to bring you guys motivation. I want to bring you guys real, raw, authentic content, stories from me, my past, my history, what I'm learning, what the Lord's teaching me, and then talking to other like-minded men, talking to other successful Christian men who are pursuing the Lord fully with all that they have. So there's going to be a sense of motivation, and I think motivation is important. I don't think motivation is something you should consistently look for and rely on, but I do think times and moments of motivation are very important. Um, and I'm going to do that within this podcast. I know men who are not where they want to be. Not only do they need levels of motivation at times, but they need their faith, number one. They need that real, true, raw, authentic relationship with Jesus. They need that, and you're going to get that from this. At least you're going to learn how to pursue that and have that. They need structure. They need a plan. They need something to follow, or they'll never be where they want to be. And they need accountability. They need brotherhood, because I've seen lives transform, my own life including in that, because of the brotherhood that I have within the group that I coach and the guys that I work with. Being held to a standard, being held to a higher level, knowing other like-minded men are working hard on their job, working hard on their relationships, and also pursuing the Lord. There's something about that you just can't beat. So that's why this podcast is going to exist, and is to help you have some level of accountability. And if you want to dive deeper in accountability and actually work with me, like you obviously can, but I think you're going to get a lot of value from even this podcast. And why Brotherhood Rising? So Brotherhood Rising, that name kind of just came from the concept of, like, I know um, a rising tide, all ships. I know I'm gonna butcher it, but all ships rise together as the tide rises. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. But the concept is, like, I know if you rise and you elevate your life and you work on these things, there's going to be other men in your life that will want to take action with you. And we see this in the brotherhood group. Like, not all of us are motivated or fired up every single day to take action, but because a few of us are, or maybe one person is, it is just a chain reaction to the rest of us doing the things that we need to do. And I know through this podcast, one person, one man, one brother will start to make the decision to change and to really pursue the Lord, and that is going to be a chain, that's going to cause a chain reaction to somebody else in your life. So Brotherhood Rising is the name of this, because I want to rise with you. I want to live this life how God has called us to live with you. And I know accountability and brotherhood and togetherness is very, very important in that. In this life, to be honest, like, this life isn't something to be lived alone. Pursuing the Lord and being a man of God, you should not do that alone. In fact, in the Bible, I know in James it talks about how the importance of getting together and confessing your sins to one another, and to be held accountable. Like, you can't do that alone. You can't be the man you want to be. In fact, Satan wants you isolated. He doesn't want you to do something like this, because he knows the power of community, the power of church, the power of accountability. He wants to keep you isolated by yourself with your own thoughts, so that he can lie to you, manipulate you, and just drive you in the direction that he ultimately wants you to go. So Brotherhood Rising is important, because not only is this about the brotherhood group and the brotherhood that we're creating, but it's about rising together to the man that God has called us to be. Um, so this podcast, man, if you're like, so if I'm just thinking like, who is this podcast for? This podcast is for men. This podcast is for men who want to grow. This podcast is for guys who are probably crushing it, doing great things in their job and their work and their career and their business, but spiritually they're lost. Maybe even a little bit physically, they're not where they want to be. But I see so many men like myself. I was that guy who was chasing success, chasing money and wealth and things like that. And ultimately, that led me to, I don't think like it really ever fulfilling it up until now. My career is finally taking off. Thank you, Jesus. But um, we're putting this emphasis on things of this world that don't really matter. At the end of the day, what I know matters is our relationship with God. Going back to Matthew 7:21 through 23. So doing this together from a thought process of, if I can just get other like-minded men to hear this message, I know action will follow, and from that action will be relationship with Jesus, number one, and forming some level of brotherhood group, number two. So it's for dads, it's for men, it's for CEOs, entrepreneurs, business guys, it's for faith-minded men, maybe Christians who put their faith on the back burner like I did, just guys who know they're called for more and they're not living it out and they need help doing so. Um, so what you can expect each week as we kind of like wrap it up here is conversations like this, real, raw, honest, and authentic. Interviews with other men that I look up to and I respect, who are doing great things in their work, in their communities, in their business, but they're also pursuing Jesus with all that they have. And I'm sure Maggie, my wife, will be in on some of these podcasts. You guys can hear a woman's perspective too of what me living this out, what that means to her. Because again, men like your wives out there, they're craving for you to lead. They're craving for you to step up and be that man who leads them in their faith, who talks about going to church, reading the Bible, praying together. Like they've been craving for you to do so. And my mission is to help you become that guy through this podcast. Um, so really, like that's what this podcast is all about. I know that was a lot, and I hope that you just got some value, got some insight into who I am, how I got here, and why this is the mission. But at the end of each episode, I'm going to try to give you something to walk away with and do. We're going to keep it simple today. And it's simply this. Number one, subscribe to this podcast. I know it's going to be something that fills your spirits and really helps you in your walk with the Lord, becoming a man who's mentally strong, physically fit, and spiritually sound. That's something we talk about, and you're going to hear a lot of that. So number one, subscribe. Number two, share this with a brother of yours, a friend, another guy that you're thinking of right now that needs to hear this message. Share it with him. And if you have any questions about the Brotherhood group, anything that I've talked about, and you're interested in it, look me up on Instagram. It's at Stephone, STEPHONE _ Allen, ALLEN. That's my main and only Instagram account. DM me there. Ask me a question there. Ask what the Brotherhood group is about, and I'll tell you right now what we're going to do is I'll answer some of the questions, but we're just going to hop on a call and talk about the details of it and see if it's a good fit. But I want to encourage you to do that. So subscribe, share this with a friend, maybe post it on your Instagram if you've been following me for a while, or maybe you're in my channel. I would love the support. That's going to help other men be drawn to this episode or this podcast, and it's who knows what it could do for them. You just sharing it, who knows the impact this podcast could have on someone. So I want to encourage you to do that. And like I said, if you have any questions about the Brotherhood group, please feel free to just DM me, and we'll kind of take it from there. But man, if this hits you, share with a brother, leave a review. I would really appreciate that. But ultimately, what I want you to do is step into the man God's called you to be. And if you're ready to go deeper and be that guy, keep listening to these podcasts, watch my content. But at the end of the day, man, I want you to become mentally strong, physically fit, and spiritually sound for your family, for your community, for your job, for your business, but most importantly, for the Lord and what he's called you and who he's called you to be. So stay strong, stay grounded, stay committed, and keep rising.